Hey everyone, I'm back and I've got the NYX Hesper64. It is allegedly the world's first dual action low profile keyboard. And to be frank, I don't really know what that means. So we're gonna find out together. Hesper64, 100, I don't know what the 100 stands for, but that's okay. We've got some foam, we've got a few different one box. That's kind of nice. I like the two-tone design that they've got on the box here, and then the fact that you like open it together like that. Yeah, that's actually really nice. Protects the keyboard as well. And then the star of our show is this guy. And yep, those are dual action keys. I'll get into those in a second here because I gotta know what else is in the box. We've got our handy dandy quick guide, Gemini low profile keyboard. I'm guessing they went Gemini because there's 2 keys. Wow. Astrology. This is actually pretty cool. They're even showing the like dual action on all of the keys in their quick guides. This is one of the few times where I'd actually maybe look at the quick guide first. Oh, okay, yeah, so these keys are dual function because like you see that I can press that and I can press the top part, which is a lot harder to press. So I don't know how much I'm gonna actually like that in real practice. But the cool thing is, it means that for a 60% or a 64 key keyboard, all of a sudden you don't have to press function to hit F12. You can just hit F12. But let's get all the other stuff out of the main. First and foremost, thank you once again for your support and trust in us. Wow, we hope you enjoy using Hesper64 100 as much as we enjoyed creating it for you. So, okay, I get the number now. It's a 64 key layout, but you're getting 100 keys. What? One minor thing I actually really like about this box though, is it's got tiny magnets on it. So it's actually just like magnets holding this down. So it's a really nice design. I don't think I've ever been this impressed by a keyboard box before. And on the back, it's actually nicely labeled. We're getting keyboard, Type-C USB cable, 2.4 gigahertz dongle, keycap switch puller, extra switches, extra Gemini switches. And it's an ANSI layout. Oh, that's great actually. I really like that this is all very clearly laid out for me. So let's get that out of the way. And let's open this box that probably has our extra switches and our keycap puller. And our cable. Ooh, this is a nice cable actually. It's that thick kind of rubbery. This almost feels similar to our TrueSpec cables. It's not, but it has that nice premium feel. Still very bendy and flexible. And then we've also got our handy dandy keycap and switch puller. I like these ones because they're just very easy to use and they're nice and versatile. You get 2 tools in one. And then there's the feet for the keyboard. We'll attach those in a bit. Here's our dongle. We've got this guy here, which is full version, whatever that means. This is probably where our switches are. Oh, ooh. Wow, that's actually really nice. I've never seen switches packaged like this, especially not like with a keyboard. So that's super cool. Otherwise, these are just Texy low profile linear switches. Love a good low profile mechanical switch. Texy's okay, I've gotten a few switches from them and I like them. There's like some very, very minor scraping. Could use just a tiny, tiny bit more lube. One more thing I noticed about the box. Now, I can see. I don't understand. That's what NYX stands for? Now I can see. Why? I don't get it. What can I see now? What I really want to do actually, before I even get into the rest of the keyboard, is I want to pull one of these out and see what the keycaps look like housed on top of the actual switch. But let me clean this up. Okay, let's see what these are all about, because this should be hot swappable, which is a plus. That's a bit of a problem. The keycap came apart as I pulled it off, and it's got there's a little extra spring here. So what I want to know is, how is this actuating anything? So if I put these back in, that's not actuating the same thing. All right, I don't know how these work. Normally when you press the stem down on the switch, you're creating a contact, but I don't know what contact this is creating when this guy goes, because it's not adjusting the stem at all. See how it's not moving? Super weird. Oh yeah, okay. There's these 2 rubber pads on the bottom here, but basically what we've noticed, or what our camera guy noticed, because I was too busy looking at the switch, is there are these 2 individual contacts on the board itself, on the PCB. And I'm guessing that when both of the rubber pads contact with that, it's like pressure sensitive or something, and it's telling it to do with the thing. One thing I don't like right away, and I'll probably comment more on this when it comes to typing, I have a single home row indicator on the J, but because our F is one of the Gemini keys, it doesn't. And so this felt like really awkward, just putting my fingers down on home row. I knew it was correct just because I knew 2 keys here and there's one here, but like, yeah, I don't know. Minor thing, I hate when keyboards and keycaps don't have home row indicators, just because I love touch typing and you don't even need to look where you're putting your fingers if you can touch those. As for the keyboard itself, the whole thing's a little loose. Like, you hear that rattle? I feel like the whole thing needs just like a slight tighten on a few screws. There's like zero flex though, because it is an aluminum chassis. And I like the little mirror weight on the back. Designed by Nix, manufactured by Texi. Oh, that's cool, so Texi made it. That's nice. It's tri-mode with QMK via support, so that means that you can plug it in with a cable. It's got Bluetooth, and you can use the dongle, so you can connect it a number of different ways. And then it's got single stage adjustable feet on the back. It's so rattly, and a big part of that's probably because the keycaps have like 2 parts to them with springs, and I don't know, it's crazy. It's crazy. And then we've got W or M. I actually don't know what that means because we've got all our wireless stuff on this switch here where you can set it to Bluetooth, cable, or dongle. Oh, but that's RGB? What? It's got this RGB strip going around the whole bottom, and it's actually really nicely diffused. Oh, not as much on the front. But yeah, do you even see it? Yo, there's some up here too? Okay, I actually really like the RGB implementation, and it looks like they've got RGB on the keys as well. You can see the shine through quite nicely on the Gemini keycaps as well, because it's a north-facing LED. And yeah, I really like the nice orange color they kind of picked. I still don't know what W and M mean, because I would assume W is like wireless, and M is like manual. Also, these switches are not very satisfying. Like, the click over is good, but then sliding it back is like effortless. So I could see someone actually now the click over is not good either, and I've only moved this a few times. So I don't know, your mileage may vary. Maybe this is just our unit feels a little loosey-goosey. I don't know how else to explain it. It's kind of weird. Okay, so we've got backlit mode switching, single press logo button to switch back. Okay. Oh, it's not really adjusting the bar or probably this bottom guy, but it is adjusting the actual like keycap lighting. That's cool. It's like breathing, color cycle, rainbow. Sure, there's a bunch of modes, very cool. But where's the WM switch? What do you do? What is your purpose? If I don't figure out what W and M stand for by the end of this video, please tell me in the comments, because I don't know. I really don't know. Otherwise, we've just got our USB-C port over on the left-hand side here. Totally fine, you know, pick your preference. I like a good middle USB-C, but left or right is totally okay too. The keycaps feel okay, feel like PBT. I can't wait to do a typing test on this thing, because I think I'm gonna get all types of messed up as soon as I try to type on these Gemini keycaps. I don't know, man. But not before a word from our sponsor.
TP-Link. TP-Link's Tapo C465 is a compact security camera that captures in 4K, and it's solar powered. They say that 50 minutes of sunlight should be enough to power you for the entire day. So between that, the battery, and the magnetic insulation, you can just stick it on your building and you're set. It captures images 24/7 at regular intervals and switches to recording clips if activity is detected, something that most battery cameras can't do. And TP-Link doesn't charge you a monthly fee for these features. Grab your TP-Link Tapo C465 today using our link in the video description.
Keyboard cannot be identified. Okay, well, we can't use a MacBook, I guess. Oh, WM is probably Windows or Mac. Oh my God. I feel pretty dumb, but that's okay. I feel dumb, so you don't have to later if you kickstarted this product. It's cool. Like, just looking at it on the desk, I do like how sleek it is, and I love low-profile keyboards with low-profile mechanical switches. But how does it type? I wasn't screen recording my last run, but as you can see, I got 58 words per minute and 90% accuracy. It's very difficult to type on because it just feels wrong. I mean, first of all, the lack of the home row makes me second guess very seldomly, like whether that's, you know, right or not, or if I've settled my fingers in the right place. The dual action keys, I'm pressing them like often, but it's like I'm pressing, sometimes I press just the bottom, sometimes I press the whole thing, and maybe that's where their anti-typo software comes in handy, because yeah, I think that most of the mistakes, here, I'll do another quick run and you can kind of see what I'm talking about, but I made a ton of mistakes. Okay, this is typing test number 2, and away we go. No, I don't know, I take it back. I think sometimes I think sometimes their typo stuff works. Geez, this one's gonna be even worse than the last one. Marginally better. Actually, worse accuracy. 61 words per minute, 82% accuracy. I guess my opinion is, if your keyboard needs anti-typo software to make sure you don't make typos because the keyboard is going to cause them, maybe that's a design that shouldn't exist. You know, like you're creating a problem and then you're fixing it because you really want this to be a thing. And the only thing that I really personally would even want out of this is the numpad. It's the #1 thing that keeps me coming back to like a full size layout, is because I want this exact numpad layout because I've got it memorized. Like I've been typing on these for forever, and if I need to like type in banking information or just numbers or whatever, I know where these keys are just based on where my fingers are. With the top row numbers, I always have to look. It doesn't matter that I've been typing for years and I've used them all the time. I always have to look, and it always takes me forever. Like let's say I need to type in like 1337. Like 1337, it's easy. Whereas this, I'm gonna be like 1337, and I'm gonna look for it, and it's gonna take me longer, and I really like this thing on one level, and I think it's just one of those cases where it's not a product for me personally. I really like the little brass button. I actually really like the look. I think that this is a super cool keycap design style, and I actually kind of now want like a half opaque, half translucent keycap set. I think that looks sick, but the dual action, I really don't think it's for me personally. Maybe it'll make you more productive. They're claiming it makes people up to 20% more productive. I don't believe that for a second, because it's, if anything, made me worse. But yeah, with practice, maybe that's the case. When this was being kickstarted, for the full version, which is the one we have here, which has the split Gemini stuff on all of these keys as well, instead of just the top row, we're talking about $295. For a little slim wireless mechanical keyboard, that's expensive, but it's not outrageous, especially considering it's doing a pretty cool new trick, whether I like that trick or not. And then it's $278 if you want the non-full version, and that just comes with only the top row being split. I think if you're getting this thing, you should definitely get the full version to at least have the options down the line to use these switches like this. I think the reason that a lot of these keyboards that are on Kickstarter have to go to Kickstarter instead of just a group buy, well no, because group buys are basically just a different form of Kickstarter. I don't know, you guys. I don't know who this is for. Maybe it's for people who have bad dexterity with their fingers and so they need help not moving them around too much. I just don't personally really see the use of it. Think it's neat. I don't think I'd pay $300 for it, but maybe you will. So there you guys have it. That's the Hesper64 100, and it's neat. If you want to check out another neat keyboard, maybe look at the ceramic one from Keychron. That was also a little neat, a little half-baked, could have been nicer.